All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to today's Law and Order session. And yes, I reference you as ladies and gentlemen. I could call you students. Occasionally, I'll have other ways in which I address you, but I'm talking to you. And I want to review the day's events. The number one story today is that mourners are paying respects to George Floyd. His funeral is in Houston. The family and close friends are gathering, and so then there will be the funeral in Houston, and so we'll be paying attention to that. In response to the most recent protests, the Democrats in the House of Representatives have unveiled their police reform bill. The most significant item from that bill is that they are going to ban chokeholds. So they're doing this today. They've described it as a first step, and there is more to come, is what they are saying. Before the press conference, you may have seen the images, but the Democratic legislators, they took a knee and kneeled in silence for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. That was the amount of time that the police officer kneeled on the neck of Mr. Floyd. Meanwhile, Joe Biden has responded to calls regarding defunding the police. It's very unclear what this phrase defund actually means, and Mr. Biden has rejected that particular effort. He has expressed that he hears and shares the deep grief and frustration of those calling out for change, and his position is that he backs reforms such as increased funding and community policing programs that improve relationship between police officers and residents. So we'll be paying attention to the eventual Democratic nominee's position on this issue as well. Meanwhile, I think it's important to know that the United States economy officially entered a recession as the pandemic began to hit. But what's interesting about the recession is apparently we entered it in February before we began the shutdown. So I think it's very interesting to note that the term recession is a technical term that relates to the economy. And as we study AP government politics, law and order, and macroeconomics, we want to know precisely what this term means. It has to do with gross domestic product, that is the entire amount that the economy is producing, and you produce less than that the prior quarter, and a recession is 2 quarters in a row. And so in a recession, you're not creating new jobs, you're losing jobs. In a recession, you're not earning more money, you're getting pay cuts. We'll talk a lot about the economy and talk a lot about what a recession technically means, and we'll look at whether this is going to be a short recession or not. So we've got these issues that are the main issues taking place today. We want to make sure we're following all of that, and we don't want to forget about the coronavirus. So even though the states are reopening at different stages and different levels, people are still dying. 500 died yesterday, but the numbers seem to be moving down, even though in some places, like in California, the numbers are actually increasing. So that's a lot that's happening, and I just want to make sure that we're aware of these items. Thank you.